ourselves. There's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared out in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. And I'll take some time, but I'll be alright. Moving on. Times are hard to life, but I've had enough. Sometimes there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Sometimes we're not ourselves. There's no one I can turn to. And I'll take some time, but I'll be alright. Times are hard to life, but I've had
Hey guys, welcome to episode 15 of Unfiltered. You guys like and share. If you saw the flyer go out today, then you already know that we are going to have 3 topics, 3 giveaways, and 30 minutes. We're out of here in 30 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and get started. You guys, welcome. Like and share. Let me go ahead and turn on the chat over here so I can see who's here. Give me a shout out. Hey, Sandro. Good morning, beautiful. Good morning to Nora. Good morning to Charlie. Good morning to Jackie. Guys, let me know you guys are here. Like and share. So, you know what? I'm going to be talking about some things, and I'm going to show you guys some things. And one of them, I was firecracker hot. Hey, Joyce, welcome to the broadcast. When I tell you some of the stuff is, and I'm sending a message because I got a surprise for y'all today. When I tell y'all some of the stuff that's going on in today's world is, it's crazy. And it lets me know there's a reason that we're here. It lets me know that there's a purpose behind the information that's being shared today, last week, next month. Good morning, Diane Tony and James Tony. Welcome to the broadcast. Welcome. Thank you guys. I see you guys are hopping on. Good morning, Gifty. You guys like and share. We're going to have 3 giveaways today. You want to make sure your friends are on for that. We're also going to talk about 3 different topics. And guys, with that being said, I am going to hop into the first topic right now. So this is June 16th. It's June 16th. And on June 16th, we are 3 days away from what? Somebody tell me what happens in 3 days on June 19th. Hey, Christina Callwood, welcome to the show. Welcome. Thank you guys for hopping on. Let me know you guys are here. You guys tell me what happens 3 days from now. Some of y'all know. And it's not just a wedding, but there we go, Juneteenth. Juneteenth is coming up in 3 days, okay? Let me switch over to here because I want to show you guys something. So Juneteenth is coming up, and as you can see, the Senate has unanimously passed a bill making Juneteenth a federal holiday. Now, I find that interesting in light of a couple of things, but first of all, do we know what Juneteenth is? I'll be honest with you, I hadn't even heard of Juneteenth until probably 3 or 4 years ago, and that's just me, so I'm gonna tell the truth. I want you guys to watch this segment, at least so you know what Juneteenth is, and we could talk about it becoming a federal holiday in connection with some other things. Two years later, y'all. So y'all can see there was a push to make this a holiday.
Today we come to celebrate, to embrace our history, to learn of our past, and to be able to move forward in unity, knowing that we all have contributed to the greatness of this country.
So here's my question to our viewers here on Unfiltered. They're about to make Juneteenth, if it passes through the House and the president decides it should be so, they're going to make it a holiday, right? Unanimously passed it. But I want to point out, we're still having trouble getting police legislation passed because they can't figure out how to prosecute police officers. I want y'all to keep that in mind. But we can get Juneteenth passed like that. What are your opinions on whether or not it should be a federal holiday? Let's look at the federal holiday calendar. So we have New Year's, of course, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Those are all holidays, Independence Day. Those are all holidays we're used to seeing. We have Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We have George Washington's birthday. I don't know why. It's a paid day off. We have Columbus Day on that one too. But here's the deal. With the Senate unanimously voting to make Juneteenth a federal paid holiday, and y'all put y'all comments in the chat box, there are some people who are asking a question, such as Republican Senator Ron Johnson, who blocked this bill in 2020. He's saying the following: while it seems strange that having taxpayers provide federal employees paid time off is now required to celebrate the end of slavery, it is clear that there is no appetite in Congress to further discuss the matter. Now, I found this whole conversation to be eye-opening, and I think it's one of the reasons that we have to stay woke. So this is one of the 3 topics we're going to discuss today, Juneteenth, okay? So I want to ask you guys, what are your opinions? Should Juneteenth be a federal holiday? What do you think about it? Because when I really kind of think back on this, I'm thinking we're celebrating the fact that people in Texas were freed or notified that they were free 2 years after the rest of the country. Y'all put your comments in the chat, but I have a special guest who's going to hop on and talk to us for a few minutes, because here's the truth of the matter. That actually isn't the date that anybody was set free. So to talk to us a little bit about that, we're going to have joining us none other than attorney Derek Wright. Welcome to the broadcast. Tell us what you got.
Well, good morning, Miss Wright, and how are you today?
All right. I'm wonderful because I'm married to Mr. Wright.
Well, I'm sure your husband married up, so he is blessed.
Amen.
Um, well, here's the thing. Uh, I a few days ago, as you know, I was watching a show. So I have no interest in the show, but I want to tell people if you have time, please watch this documentary, Slavery by Another Name. And what it really breaks down is where we think slavery ended when we can say Juneteenth or the proclamation back in 1862. It really didn't end to almost World War II. And this is essentially what happened. You freed about 4.4 million slaves, yet you started a system of peon or inmate labor where you started to enslave the free slaves under fictitious charges through a corrupt system. And even though here you go in 1865 and the 13th Amendment, you say no slavery. A few years later, 3 years later, the next amendment says, well, we're actually citizens. We're not just free slaves. A couple years after that, in 1870, you say, oh, we actually have voting rights. But at the same time, what are you doing? You are making primarily Black men, but Black men and Black women convicted felons and forcing them into labor camps. That did not end officially, for example, here in Georgia till 1908. So here we are in the 1900s where you could, in fact, let me give you one of the main characters in that was Green Cottingham. He was in Alabama hanging out at a train station, and they charged him with vagrancy because he didn't have a ticket to be at the train station. Now, they gave him some months of hard labor, but then fined him $38.40. So, of course, I'm anal. So I said, what would that be now? And I did the calculation, about $1,114 fine for a person who may or may not even have the resources or employment to pay this fine. But since you can't, we're going to add another 12 months of forced servitude where you're being handcuffed, kept in barracks, beaten, and sometimes even killed.
Now,
In his case, he was put in the Pratt mine in Alabama.
Wait, he went into prison?
Oh, no. They're not. When you go to prison, the prison basically sells you to private citizens who then use you for their businesses.
So wait, and this happened after Juneteenth?
Oh, long after. We're talking about, we're in the going all the way into the 1900s. In fact, another little interesting fact, I was researching this a little bit. You may have heard of this famous prison called Angola in Louisiana. What you don't know, and I didn't know, Angola was an 8,000 acre plantation during slave times. It became a prison with forced prison labor, and was that 1880. So instead of calling it a plantation with slaves, you call it a prison with forced labor, or peons is another sort of name for it. And this is going all the way up into World War II. In fact, a few interesting things. Georgia stopped forced prison labor in 1908. However, it just changed it. Once again, slavery by another name became chain gangs. Chain gangs were not abolished until 1955. So we're all the way up to 1955, and people are being put on chain gangs. They are being charged with misdemeanor kind of offenses and put into these situations where they're still being treated as slaves. But if I can say one more thing, hon.
Wow, please do.
That made me wonder, well, if 4.4 million slaves were freed, but they estimate over 1 million people were put into these prison labor kind of situations. Well, it seems to me that, well, what's the trend? How many African Americans are convicted felons? And I say that because if you're going to stop people from having power, well, you can say they're a citizen, you can say they have a right to vote, but if we can make them a convicted felon, they won't be able to vote. If we can control how they can register to vote, or how they can vote, then we've taken all that away so we can continue to make sure that our kids don't learn about this stuff. No one knows about the massacres, about the inmate slavery, and all of these things, which really say this: we're not that far removed from slavery. We're not that far removed from the whole idea of separate but unequal. So it hasn't been 100+ years, like some would say, to say, oh, everyone should just be equal now. Well, even now, 1/3 of African American males are convicted felons. So right there, if you're getting put into this process, you're getting your rights taken away. There's a reason Blacks don't feel trustful of the system, because the system was the sort of the new slave owner of sorts. It was corrupt and selling people into the inmate labor system, and it was okay with it. And go look and see what your president, you like Teddy Roosevelt, see what he did about not actually stopping this slave labor. Or Woodrow Wilson, who we know, Klansman. But look and see how America allowed
some people didn't know he was
to happen. I'm sorry?
For some people, that was an announcement. Some people did not know he was a Klansman.
Well, I will say my alma mater, Princeton, has finally taken his name off of one of the buildings, acknowledging that he was extremely racist in both action and his ideology. So, you know, wow. the issue is simply this. My wife asked me the other day, why are we talking about all these issues? And I would say this: if we don't talk about these issues and see the things to suppress this information, so that here we are, educated, so-called wise and educated folks, just learning about Tulsa, just learning about, well, Juneteenth really is a fiction because slavery really didn't end till decades and decades later.
Which brings us to the question.
Mm-hmm.
Why did the Senate unanimously vote to make this a holiday? We're celebrating that the word got to Texas 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. And then we're listening to you now, we understand that that's not really when it ended, because then we had convict leasing, right? Yep. Then we had forced indentured servitude. It didn't end for years after that. So the question becomes, what is this really about? Don't take your eyes off the ball, because I just told you they unanimously passed that, but they arguing over the George Floyd Police Reform Act over one key issue, which is, how do you punish police officers? Don't you punish police officers the same way you punish somebody else? Murder is murder. Like, is that really what's hanging them up? So, Derek, we know, I know that you have a court appearance coming up, and we got 15 minutes left for the show, so I need to get to 2 other topics and 3 giveaways. But I so appreciate you coming on, and you better come on and tell the people the truth on Unfiltered.
And if I could say one last thing, because there may be a non-believer out there, it was as recent as 2007 in Camden County, Georgia, that a sheriff was charged with taking inmates out the jail to go wash his girlfriend's car, to send him with the car to the car wash. And the only reason they got caught is because he ended up drinking and driving and hitting somebody in an accident. But that case was Smith versus Deering, I believe. And that's 2007. So don't think this stuff don't happen even now in recent times. The struggle is real. And don't take a little pacifying lollipop and, and think that, oh, things are much better now. No, they're not. The fight and struggle is real. So, honey, thank you for having me.
Thank you for adding thank you for adding that fact, because that is something I didn't even know. But I'm gonna tell you something. He just got caught. because at the end of the day, there are other people who are doing it, but this one just got caught. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much for popping in on Unfiltered. And we're going to actually, let's pop over to a giveaway really quick, because I got to get 3 done and we got 11 minutes and 2 more topics. So we're going to get with that. Okay, guys. So y'all know how we do. 3 giveaways today on Unfiltered. Derek, you are going to, he's backstage now. Derek, go ahead and text me a number between 1 and 100. And y'all know how to do it. This is giveaway number 1. I am starting the timer right now. You guys, I'm scrolling through here and I believe we have a winner. So the number that Derek Wright texts me is 55. So Melissa Pepper Williams, you are the winner of $100 on Unfiltered today. So let me go ahead and put up the screen so you can send your information. Send me an email to beblessed@bcwright.com and we will send your $100 to you today in the form of either Apple Pay or Cash App or even Bitcoin. And by the way, for those of you who got Bitcoin last week, your money is already increasing. So I'm excited for you guys. So congratulations. We have 2 more giveaways. I think we might even only get to one more of these topics, but let's go ahead and jump into the next topic real quick. And Derek, if you can stay right there in case you have something to say about this as well. I also have another guest backstage with us. Guys, okay, so we got Juneteenth. We talked about that. Let's see what we got to choose from. We got human microchipping. We got environmental racism and critical race theory. We're going to hop over to critical race theory. So most people have not heard of critical race theory. So the question becomes, what is it and why is it under attack? So one of the things about critical race theory is that most people don't understand it. But I found this video on Education Week and I want to share it with you because he gave kind of a succinct description of what it is. So let's talk about this.
Educators are facing questions about critical race theory. But what is it and why is it under attack? Critical race theory is an academic and legal concept that's been around for 4 decades. The core idea is that racism isn't just about individual prejudice or bias. It's woven into public policies and laws, even those that seem to be race blind. Single-family zoning, for example, makes it harder to build affordable housing and further desegregation efforts. In K-12 education, people have applied these concepts to patterns of student discipline and tracking systems. Because racism is part of this context of everyday life, people, white or non-white, who don't intend to be racist can nevertheless make choices that fuel racism, the theory says. It's important to note that critical race theory isn't a program or a training or a curriculum. It's a way of thinking about the world. Still, it's controversial because critics, largely though not exclusively conservatives, allege that this way of thinking fuels division or pits people of color against white people. Lawmakers in more than a dozen states have already passed or are debating legislation to ban the use of critical race theory or divisive topics in the classroom. Sometimes critical race theory is conflated with anti-racism and social justice, which are more common terms and concepts used and taught in schools. This might mean that parents or school board members could use the term critical race theory to challenge curriculum and lessons. Proposals to ban critical race theory could have a chilling effect on what teachers teach about certain topics. They might worry that teaching the full history of the removal of indigenous peoples, or the Civil War, or the Tulsa race massacre will land them in trouble with parents or administrators. While some district officials have issued mission statements or resolutions, or they've spoken about changes in their policies using some of the discourse of critical race theory, it's actually not clear to what extent educators are explicitly teaching these concepts, or even using curriculum materials or other methods that implicitly draw on them. This is a really complex topic, so we encourage you to look at Education Week's resources at edweek.org.
Now listen, if you look online, and I had to show you guys this, critical race theory articles, there are so many different stances on this, but most of them are negative. They use terms like NBC, critical race theory battle invades school boards. Invade, that's the word that's being used, right? Governor Abbott has already signed into law an anti-critical race theory bill over the objections of educators. They're not listening to the educators. And civil rights group. You have Representative Virginia Foxx talking about how to fight critical race theory. Well, if you understand that critical race theory is about teaching the whole story and how the implications of slavery and things like that have it's institutional racism that's being taught. Why are so many people objecting? But this is my favorite article right here. An Alabama Republican who wants to ban critical race theory was stumped when asked how to define it. Y'all, he don't even know what it is, and you're objecting to it. So before I get into the discussion, you guys be putting your thoughts in the chat, but I want you guys to watch this because it's not just who you think it might be fighting against teaching of the truth. So pay attention.
Hear me clearly. America is not a racist country. It's backwards to fight discrimination with different types of discrimination. And it's wrong to try to use our painful past to dishonestly shut down debates in the present.
Boy, that's something I still marvel over. But now, my question is real simple. Shouldn't Republicans, conservatives, and for that matter, everyone else, just follow Senator Scott's lead and his elegant platform against wokeism and cancel culture and critical race theory and high taxes and welfare without workfare? And by the way, our next guest, Ben Carson, former distinguished housing secretary, he says we should be focusing on not equity, but inequality. That's what we should focus on. It's not a matter of equity, it's a matter of equality, of opportunity. Ben, thank you for coming back on the show. I've spent some time dissecting and talking about what Tim Scott said because, you know, it's a tough sell to do the counterattack, as you know, against the State of the Union. And I thought he made a tremendous statement. And Ben, I think in some ways, because of what Scott has done and because of what you have done, including your op-ed piece, but also you just being you these many years, we actually may have the wokes on the run if we continue this. What do you think?
Well, I think a lot of people are truly waking up and seeing what's going on and recognizing that, you know, the things that are the foundations of our country are not the things that are being espoused by the woke generation. You know, we have never been a country that tried to punish people who didn't agree with us. We have never been a country that would choose one group over another group rather than try to have fairness and justice. Now, we've not always succeeded at that. There's no question about that. But we've made enormous progress. And we recognize what is right versus what is wrong. Does it sound right to judge people based on a characteristic that they cannot change, that they had nothing to do with? Or would it be better to judge them based on things that they have, you know, dominion over? That's the only thing that makes any sense. And I think the American people are starting to realize that. And I think a lot of people are getting sick and tired, quite frankly,
Well,
of this wokeness.
that's my thought.
Okay. I got to come full screen. Did he just say, I think a lot of people are getting tired of this wokeness? Wait. Listen, we are here to be blessed and to stay woke. And I see y'all typing in the comments, you've got to be kidding me. Against a movement against wokeism. Wait, what else did I write? We've never been a country that treated people differently. Hold on. What else did he say? Oh, the wokes are on the run. What? Wait, what? We're talking about educators teaching critical race theory, which is not, it's how you teach slavery. It makes it different, right? So I have an educator guest on the line with me. Come on, Katrina, what you got?
Listen, I'm over here like, first of all, the wokeism, the wokes are on the run. I'm so confused. Okay, so anyway, as of the last couple of months, I've actually been doing a book study with my team at work, and it's by Gholdy Muhammad, Cultivating Genius. That's the name of the book, which falls in line with what we're discussing here. And the fact of the matter is, even going through the book study with my counterparts who don't have the same perspective, it was tight and it was tense and uncomfortable in a lot of ways. And that's what people don't want. No one wants to be uncomfortable. We want to teach it the way that we've been teaching it. We want to use standardized testing to test our babies instead of being real about it and understanding that we don't learn the same. We need to know from whence we came so we can understand what it is. And it is systemic issues that are going, or systematic issues that are going on. We know that, we see it. It's on the news every day. But parents get uncomfortable because I don't want you to talk about what they did to slaves back then because, you know, it's anti what I believe, or it might impact the way my son or daughter is going to see things. Well, they're going to be in the real world and we have to teach it the way it is. We can't sugarcoat history. It is what it is. And it does have an impact on our Black and our brown babies. It does, no matter how we look at it. Just because I put on a t-shirt and I go into an inner city and I try to talk like the students and teach them, and that does not make me, you know, like, oh, it's okay, everything is fine, and I understand where you're coming from. I don't. It requires intentionality. It requires us to stop pretending like everything is okay. It's not okay. Every day we turn on the news, every day we look at social media, it's screaming. It's not okay. If we don't educate our babies, then they'll keep going they'll keep going astray. So I'm like, the wokies, no, we gotta stay the woke. I mean, we're running. Nobody's running. We're running to the knowledge. Knowledge can never be taken away. That's one thing. When we have it, we're able to know how to defend ourselves. We're able to question appropriately, and we're able to challenge. And you know what? People don't like to be challenged.
Come on now. You're about to say that. Okay, let me tell you something. We about to turn up the volume on Unfiltered. I mean, are you really saying a movement against wokeism that you want to go after the wokies? Whatever. I'm getting a t-shirt that say woke, wokies, whatever you want to call it.
I'm like, is this Star Wars? I'm like,
what we doing? Right. So Dr. Flukas, you said a mouthful when you said what you said, because it is about telling the whole story. Absolutely. Now, Derek was just on Attorney Wright a few seconds ago, and I know he's chomping at the bit to say something about this segment, so I'm going to bring it back on. He was just on a few minutes ago talking about the fact that we didn't even know about the Tulsa massacre until almost 100 years later. And now you got this dude. That's what Santrell called him. This dude telling us, who looks like us, that racism don't exist, that we've never treated people differently. Come on now. What's up, Derek? What's up?
You know, in order to control folks, you always needed an overseer. You always needed an Uncle Tom, someone to talk about how everything is great and good and just do what Massa says. And he is that individual. Well, both of them are those individuals. But to sit there and say, because we have some examples of success in our community, that means the entire African American community is successful, or that we don't need to remember all these bad things or slavery or massacres, or even really understand that we're not even 100 years past slavery and discrimination, where we were denied education, denied true opportunity for, as you heard President Biden say, generational wealth. We don't have any of that being passed down because we don't have any generations, one, maybe two since slavery. How were we going to pass generational wealth where someone can graduate high school and already have a house? Someone can graduate college and already have a $500,000 trust fund because their grandmother or great grandmother or some other person in that family history had the opportunity of creating wealth and passing it down with some common sense and education.
So good.
He's disgusting to me. Uncle Tom through and through.
Let me tell y'all something. So what you were saying, listen, attorney, talk show host, doctor, talk show host, and attorney, and he's like the Dark Knight, crime fighter, all that other fun stuff. He does a lot of stuff. We're all successful in our own right, but we have not been, our title has not separated us from our brain.
No.
Our title has not separated us from our community and our eyes. We still see what's happening. We still see the need for change. So what? How are you in? There's a chess game being played and they don't even know anymore. You on Fox News. And it's so hard to take the position he's taking. Well, what do you think? Well, we had these two Black people come on and say that racism doesn't exist. It must be true. We are not yo-yos. We are wokies. How about that? So you guys, thank you guys for joining us. It is 9:36. So I got to kick y'all off. I got to do 2 more giveaways and I got to get off of the show for today. But I love you guys. I'm glad you guys were able to hop in on Unfiltered for this episode. And y'all, come on now. Come on, it's time to turn up the volume and know what's really going on behind the scenes. Come on. So there are a couple of other topics. Oh, hey, Sekou, welcome to the broadcast, my friend. You guys, welcome so many of you guys on. Listen to this. There's a couple of things I did not get to. One of them is, not the Juneteenth, here we go. We're supposed to be over here. I didn't get to human microchipping. We're going to talk about that. I did not get to environmental racism. It's a thing. It's a thing. And it's so mind-blowing. I didn't get to that, but we're going to talk about that. I can tell you all that next week, we actually have one of your favorite guests coming to us. Attorney Winfield Murray is going to be back to talk more about critical race theory. Yes, he is. So he's going to be back to talk more about that. In addition to that, I'm going to close my window out. I'm back. He's going to be back to talk more about critical race theory, Attorney Winfield Murray. In addition to that, he's not only an attorney, but he's a constitutional law professor over at Morehouse. So we're going to be talking about some things that are going on that we need to stay woke about and be educated about. So with that being said, we have 2 more giveaways. We're going to do 2 people winning on this next one. So I need Katrina to text me a number. Dr. K with Freedom by Design, I need you to text me a number. And Attorney Wright, I need you to text me another number. And we will have 2 different winners. Y'all got 1 minute, y'all. And we're going to go ahead and start the video. Y'all know how we do. Pick a number 1 through 100. And we will pick 2 winners from this one. Okay, guys, we are back. So check this out. Number, oh, wait a minute. Really, Katrina and Derek? I'm looking at the numbers that they put. I have the chat up here on the right. Y'all should be able to see it. So y'all need to help me find the winners. Okay, I think I just found one. Okay, I found one. Let me go ahead and tell you the numbers. One of y'all chose 86 and the other one chose 88. So did y'all text each other first to make this more difficult? I'm like, what? Okay, so here we go. Y'all on Unfiltered, y'all know how to count. Y'all help me find these people. I know that Avril did 90. So Avril is one of the winners for today. So she's going to be the winner who is closest to 88. Who is closest to 86 after that? Oh my goodness. So Avril's the only one in the 90s. Okay, we got a 75 from Stephanie Croft and Christina Callwood. I think that's it, right? Christina and Stephanie. Okay, so Christina and Stephanie, we are going to have a showdown between you two. But before Avril gets out of here, and we want to make sure Melissa has the information. Here we go. Make sure you send me an email to beblessed@bcwright.com. Make sure you send that over to me, okay? And so let me go back to actually I can just stay right there. All right. Christina and Stephanie, I need you all to put a number 1 through 10 to determine who the winner is going to be. And I have that number in my head. So 1 through 10, waiting on Chris. Oh, give it to Stephanie. Well, Stephanie Croft, you're the winner. Okay, guys. So we got Stephanie and we got Melissa. And we have Avril, Oscillian, Similian, who are the winners on Unfiltered today. So you guys, thank you guys for joining us. It was an exciting episode. Thanks again to my partners in crime. I'm going to pull them back on screen to say goodbye to you guys. We have Dr. K with us, Dr. Katrina Flukas, and we have attorney Derek Wright, who joined us for today's episode of Unfiltered. And you guys know how we do. You know what we say whenever we leave an episode. We want to remind you guys to continue to be blessed and stay woke. Bye, family. You guys, as we go ahead and end the broadcast today, I do want to go ahead and promote my nephew, son of Shanita Ponton, and his song, of course, you guys are going to listen to today. Make sure that you guys are following him, Kaki Cuz. See you guys next time.
It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. It's bigger. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. Yeah. It's bigger, yeah. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. Yeah, yeah. It's bigger, yeah. It's bigger than me. It's bigger.